In this video, I'm going to do an entire scientific study on the manipulation of mitochondria on body fat and muscle tissue, a complete comprehensive study on macronutrient metabolism. So how can you build muscle tissue and lose body fat simultaneously? What does it look like? How does it work? Can you actually eat more food and lose more body fat utilizing macronutrient metabolism? And in this video, we're going to break it all down for you. I've been getting a lot of questions on my channel recently about me doing more of a muscle building video as opposed to my normal fat loss videos. And so this is going to be kind of more of that, like understanding how to build muscle and get to a lean physique and get six-pack shredded, eating more food, but also building good muscle tissue along the way. We're going to be bringing up a case study with one of my clients, Mason here, who's a university teacher, and how he's up 900 calories and down 10 pounds, and obviously has put a really good amount of muscle tissue on as well. And so, if you guys don't know me by now, my name's Adam Bono. I'm an online metabolic specialist, and I specialize in the manipulation of cellular metabolism through metabolic pathways, understanding mitochondrial breakdown, understanding losing body fat using approaches with actual correct nutrition. So, me and my company have worked with over 1,000 people worldwide as of right now. We're one of the leading online coaching companies for body composition, health, structuring macronutrient metabolism, and structuring energy pathways to improve insulin sensitivity, to reduce type 1, and all these really good stuff that comes within health. And so, we've worked with a ton of guys, and a lot of guys who come to us want to get to this like next level lean physique, right? And I think the first thing they always think is that it's always about eating less and doing more. Energy exertion. What it always does come down is, where is this energy being taken away from? Where is this energy being pulled from? Where is the actual calories you're exerting actually coming from? Because most people, when they think about calorie exertion or like calories in versus calories out, they'll think about, the calories they're inputting in their body versus the calories that they're maybe inputting on the treadmill, the number that says on the treadmill. But it actually goes a lot deeper than that, right? It goes a lot deeper than, how many calories you're burning during your workout. It goes a lot deeper than how many calories you're burning on that cardio session. And it goes a lot deeper than your overall quote-unquote caloric deficit, or what you think you're in a deficit is, for the day. And so we're going to be going through this with my 39-year-old client, Mason here. But the first thing we got to understand is how muscle tissue relates to metabolism. Because a lot of guys, what they'll do is they'll eat 1,500 calories, lose a shit ton of muscle tissue, and they'll become even more unhealthy than they were when they had body fat on them. And that's because muscle tissue as a male, especially as you get older, as bone tissue starts to degrade, it's one of the most important attributes to the male hormonology. And what we want to understand is it's also very, very metabolically active. Okay, so if we're to do a breakdown of your organs and what calories actually burn per organ, your liver burns about 300 calories. And keep in mind, this is this relative data. What I'm saying is trying to put these together to understand in full. But 300 calories from your liver, 360 from your brain, heart, kidneys, and then you got your skeletal muscle, which makes up for like a significant amount of calories that you burn per day. So all of this is correlated to the biggest part of your entire metabolism, your basal metabolic rate, right? Essential body functions: breathing, blood flow, sleeping, organ function. This is all of this, right? These are all the calories associated to keeping you alive. So the problem is that people undereat, they lose a bunch of muscle tissue, which is metabolically active in general, and then they put themselves in a metabolic purgatory because they degrade their metabolism over time. So something called metabolic adaptation occurs. And so if we were to break this down in metabolic adaptation, it essentially says the less that you eat, the less that you burn calories. Okay, so keep in mind, over time, as you lose weight, as you lose muscle tissue, your body burns less calories because, one, maybe you have less muscle tissue. Maybe you have less body fat. Yes, maybe you just weigh less, and so it's easier for you to move around more. So you just burn less calories in general, right? And so that makes up 60 to 70% of your entire metabolism, just keeping you alive. So if your body starts to think it's under eating or in quote unquote starving, it'll go into what's called starvation mode. Well, it will start savoring all of these calories that you eat just to keep you alive. Just to support these functions, just support your brain, your liver, your heart, your kidneys, your muscle tissue. These are the calories out nobody sees. And so if we understand this and we focus on this, we can understand that losing muscle tissue or under-eating is a very one-sided approach that doesn't lead to a lot of sustainability. And they've even done studies on weight regain in people who lose weight. And almost 90% of people who lose weight gain the weight back plus some. Why? Because they don't understand how their body works. And it comes down to understanding macronutrients, yes, understanding food group, but also understanding the degradation of metabolism over time. So here's how muscle tissue and metabolic adaptation are specifically related. So obviously, yes, like we talked about, metabolically active tissues, adaptive thermogenesis, beyond tissue loss, the body also goes metabolic adaptation, also called adaptive thermogenesis. This is where the body's way of becoming more efficient at burning calories make it further weight loss more difficult, reducing the rate of caloric burn. So a lot of you guys are hitting this like roadblock when it comes to lowering your food. You're at 1,500 calories, or maybe you're even at less. And you're like, dude, I just don't know why I can't get this last little bit of belly fat off me, no matter what I do. And then every time I go out to eat, or I eat a little bit more than 1,500 calories, I just gain all this like water back, and I just feel like crap, and I got brain fog. It's because you've just destroyed your metabolism by fatiguing the body severely over years of yo-yo dieting, over years of under-eating, and your body's now undergoing the long-term effects from that low caloric deficit. So complex interaction. The reduction of resting metabolic rate after weight loss comes from both the loss of energy-expanding muscle tissues and metabolic adaptations. Research suggests that adipose tissue loss, not just skeletal muscle loss, is a key driver of these reductions. So as you lose body fat, yes, you burn less calories. As you lose muscle tissue, you burn even less calories. So it's important to note muscle tissue is metabolically active. It's very, very unhealthy for you to actually lose muscle tissue. So factors that contribute to metabolic adaptation: long periods of significant caloric can trigger these metabolic changes. As a person gets smaller, their total energy needs are lower. And then hormonal changes that occur with weight loss, aging, also affect metabolism and the ability to build muscle. So now that we know all this, we want to put this into perspective of understanding, one, how important muscle tissue is, but also understanding why macronutrients matter to make sure that we can sustain metabolic rate, make sure that we can sustain other parts of the metabolism, make sure we can keep your body healthy, okay? Because the approach that we use with our clients works like this. And like I get this approach from Dr. Ray Peat's bioenergetic approach, which is like bringing the bringing the amount of calories and bringing the amount of energy through one system, right? So it's like intaking 2,000 calories and burning 2,000 calories from subsequent sources like your metabolism or maybe cardio, whatever it may be, is one, can lead to a lot of issues with the degradation of overall organs because there's not much energy being flowing through your organs. And so raising, the actual rate of the food that you eat, but also raising the amount that you move, we can get more food to flow through the body, which is healthier for the organs, which is healthier for insulin sensitivity, which is healthier from type 1, which is healthier for heart disease, which is healthier for blood sugar, everything in general, because the body becomes more efficient the more energy it has, okay? So why do macronutrients matter in this equation? So macronutrients, proteins, carbs, and fats influence the body's composition, providing energy for metabolism, building and repairing muscle tissues, and influencing fat and muscle mass. So calories affect your weight. If you're only tracking calories, or if you're only tracking protein, and you're not tracking fats and carbs, this is where you're going wrong, because this step right here is where you're going wrong if you're wanting to get to like a six-pack lean physique. Why? Is because we have to think about fat loss from the terms of fat-free fatty acids and lipolysis, which we're going to get to in a second. But if we do not optimize the body for carbohydrates or fats, we will become in what's called a metabolic gridlock, right? And so we want to understand that like macronutrients matter for composition, for health, for like we talked about insulin sensitivity, all these health issues that people are going through nowadays in today's society can be solved with correct macronutrients. We have guys that are getting off cholesterol medicine, getting off blood sugar medicine. We're cutting A1Cs in half. We're reducing almost, borderline diabetes. in our program by understanding the manipulation of macronutrients when it comes to mitochondria. So we're going to get into a little bit more about mitochondria, but understanding that protein is vital for muscle synthesis and muscle tissue is the most important. So while fats are crucial for hormone production and cell function, and carbohydrates provide the primary energy source for daily activities and exercise, optimizing body composition requires balanced intake of all three macronutrients tailored to the individual goals. Tailored to the individual goals based upon macronutrients, activity levels, and metabolism, rather than relying on a single macronutrient. Okay? I'm going to repeat that. Optimizing body composition requires a balanced intake of all three macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fats, tailored to individual goals, your activity levels, and your metabolism, rather than relying on one single macronutrient. So you want to know the reason why we make the best progress on the internet as an organization within our clients, because we optimize mitochondrial function, we optimize energy pathways through correct macronutrients. All right. So proteins are essential for building muscle. You know that, including muscle. Adequate protein intake can also increase feelings of fullness, supporting weight management, and preserving lean muscle tissue. So protein has a 30% thermic effect. 4 calories per gram, gets broken down to amino acids, which are the building blocks of the body, and repairs muscle and bone. So it takes more energy to build and maintain muscle tissue than fat. People with more muscle mass often have faster metabolisms, right? So why do these bodybuilders who can stay lean year round, and eat everything they want to eat, still have six-pack abs? Because they have the muscle tissue that protrudes. They have the lean, dense muscle that is very glucose absorbent and very burns a lot of calories. So it takes more energy to build and maintain muscle than fat. So from a scientific perspective, it takes 2 calories to sustain 1 pound of body fat. It takes 8 calories to sustain 1 pound of muscle tissue. So muscle tissue is 4 times as metabolic as body fat. So if we simply focus on building muscle tissue, we can improve body composition through correct macronutrients by influencing this sole factor, as having more muscle tissue allows you to have a leaner physique, allows you to look, feel, and have better energy. So carbohydrates, the body's preferred energy source. So remember we talked about, what we do with our clients is we try to raise the level of energy flowing through the body. How do we do that? Carbohydrates. They provide fuel for working muscles in the central nervous system, which is critical for physical activity and overall function. So let's talk about the central nervous system really quickly. So you guys ever feel super fatigued, you just feel like your body's walking through sand, you got digestive issues, it feels like you're just bloated when you walk? This is a central nervous system issue due to inflammation, due to other overlying undisclosed problems that are just happening because you're under eating and you're putting your body in a state of stress. So the central nervous system in general can be influenced by carbohydrates. What we call it is the parasympathetic nervous system. It's a state of healing. It's a state of rest. It's the state that allows your body to recuperate and build muscle and reduce stress levels. So reducing your carbohydrate intake probably is not the best idea. But a concentrated source of fats is energies for essential producing hormones, cell function, membrane function, and aiding in the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins. So a lot of guys who watch my channel, it's you guys do low-fat diets. It's no. We don't do low-fat diets. We do correct fat diets, right? Based upon the individual, okay? Because, yes, fats do matter in your diet. Don't get me wrong. You have to have fats in your diet for hormones supporting cells and for the absorption of vitamins and minerals, just overall digestion, okay? But we want to be careful. Because why? Because fat has 9 calories per gram, has a 3% thermic effect. And so although it does influence hormones, it is very slow digesting and it does not have a high thermic effect. As opposed to carbohydrates, which have a 4 calories per gram, support bodily functions. It's your body's main fuel source, and it gets broken down into glucose, which we'll talk about in a second, for energy. Extra is stored in the liver. So yes, obviously you eat way too many carbohydrates, it will store in the liver. But that's why I keep saying macronutrients are important. The how much matters. So let's get even deeper. Let's get deeper into this, right? So macronutrients, carbohydrates, fats, and proteins are the primary fuels that mitochondria convert into cellular energy through ATP. through metabolic pathways like the Krebs cycle and oxidative phosphorylation. Okay, this is where it gets interesting, and this is why understanding this right here, you understand why our clients are making such great progress, because we understand this. So the ratio of these dietary macronutrients can affect mitochondrial function, influencing energy production, the generation of reactive oxygen species, and metabolic flexibility. So, macronutrient metabolism within the mitochondria also plays a crucial role in preventing diseases like obesity, insulin resistance, and neurodegenerative conditions. Okay? So the macronutrients are associated to how your body breaks down and utilizes energy at the actual level of ATP, down to the actual cellular mitochondrial level. So how do macronutrients affect fuel mitochondria? So energy conservation. Mitochondria are responsible for converting macronutrients from ATP in the main energy currents of the cell. So substrates, carbohydrates, fats, and proteins provide substrates that feed the Krebs cycle and other mitochondrial pathways. Oxidative phosphorylation. The final stage of energy production occurs through oxidative phosphorylation, a process that relies on the oxidation of these macronutrient-derived molecules. So metabolic flexibility. The relative amounts of dietary carbohydrates, fats, and proteins influence an individual's metabolic flexibility, which is the ability to switch between different fuel sources. So you have two different types of fuel sources within your body. You have like carbohydrate metabolism, and you have fat adaptation. Carbohydrate metabolism, what we use, what we specialize in, like with metabolic priming. Then you have fat metabolism, which is, your keto, your carnivore, transferring your body into using, ketones as a main fuel source of energy, which, obviously isn't very sustainable long term if you're somebody who has daughters or sons who have birthday parties and they ask you to eat some pizza with them or eat some pasta with the wife on the weekends. So it's like metabolic flexibility allows for sustainability, flexibility of your overall lifestyle, flexibility in switching between different fuel sources, and allowing your body more flexibility, right? And so it all comes with the correct macronutrients. So macronutrient metabolism can alter the production of ROS, which are byproducts of energy conservation. A balanced macronutrient intake is essential for mitochondrial health and can help prevent or manage conditions such as obesity, insulin resistance, and neurodegenerative disease. So let's take it a little bit a step deeper. I want to show you this published study on can we alter dietary macronutrient compositions and alleviate mitochondrial disease. Because a lot of these diseases like insulin resistance and all the diseases you see within the nutrition space are mitochondrial diseases, right? Because mitochondria regulate how energy is burned and regulate if body fat is gained, lost, or not gained at all. So in this study, can we alter dietary macronutrient composition and alleviate mitochondrial disease? They state right here. However, and this is why we use carbohydrates. However, a switch of energy production from mitochondrial oxphos to glycolysis can lead to lipid accumulation, which could force the organism to use lipid as an alternative fuel source, right? So what is lipid metabolism? Lipid lipolysis is the breakdown of triglycerides, fat molecules, into fatty acids and glycerol for energy production. Beta oxidation of fatty acids in the mitochondria to generate acetyl-CoA, which enters the Krebs cycle for energy production. Lipogenesis, a synthesis of fatty acids and triglycerides. So if you guys don't know what triglycerides are, they are what is inside of fat cells. So it's like you don't get rid of fat cells, they're always there. But what is inside and what fills them up is triglycerides, which is basically unused energy for the body to be taken away from in times when you're hungry. So triglycerides from acetyl-CoA stored in the adipose tissue for energy reserves. Synthesis and breakdown of cholesterol, a vital component of cell membranes and precursor for hormones and bile acids. Synthesis and breakdown of phospholases, which form the structural components of cell membranes. So synthesis and breakdown of wax. All right, so how do we take all this and understand how can you eat more food and lose more body fat by optimizing macronutrient production? So let's take this study from my client right here who came to us, wants to build muscle and get leaner, and eventually compete, maybe same plan for his day-to-day job, which is really important because obviously I work with individuals in the in healthcare space, CEOs, managers, people who lead organizations, university teachers, Everybody. And so obviously the biggest holdback for them is needing a sustainable plan for the day-to-day job, right? Biggest holdback. And so that's where we come in and just provide the plan. Because a lot of these guys, they come to us because they want it done for them. You go to an accountant because you want your accountant to do your taxes for you. People and men come to us because we're the trusted source to take care of their body composition and health goals so they don't have to. We make the plan that fits into their life, that's easy to follow, easy to manage, and has flexibility around it as well. That's what we specialize in. But his current calories are 2,300, 80 grams of fat. We're going to do a caloric maintenance intake. So I already knew right off the bat. His first check-in that he did, that he told me his macronutrients. I said we need to slightly lower his fat intake, slightly lower his protein intake, and supplement some of these calories with carbs to build muscle, mitigate adrenal fatigue. So now we talked about mitochondrial production when it comes to protein, carbs, and fats. All right. So yeah, I want you to also understand this and see this as a perspective as well, is that building muscle tissue allows you to look leaner. So whether you lose weight or not, if you're building muscle tissue, you're getting leaner. So the phrase building muscle and losing body fat, yes, it does apply. You can build muscle and reduce body fat, but most of it will be caused by having more muscle tissue, correlative to body fat, right? Just in a percentage wise. You have more muscle tissue than body fat. You look leaner at a higher body fat percentage, right? So it's a great example. And this is why I always bring this up. Is 15% body fat, same body fat percentage, but at 150, so 30 pounds less muscle, 30 pounds more muscle, right? So you have that expand that comes against the skin, makes you appear tight, lean, dry, and you have to sustain it for longer because you have 30 pounds more muscle tissue on your body. So if we were to put into context that 1 pound of muscle tissue takes 8 calories to sustain, 8 times 3, 21. So yeah, you're going to have a lot more calories just to burn per day. So anyways, really good to know. But obviously he is 900 calories more per day here. Just look how much more dense he is, how much more his protrusions erode, how much deeper his insertions are. This is what it looks like perfectly. Anyways, I want you guys to first of all hear from him, Mason himself, on his time here within the program. And want you to hear from him, your guys' self, about how he was able to eat more food and lose more body fat.
I am consuming more food each day and I'm getting leaner.
Your abs look like something off of Zach.
I am consuming more food each day and I'm getting leaner.
Your abs look like something off of Zac Efron Baywatch.
Helping me to find that missing link as far as the food aspect has really been a blessing. With your plan, on average, I'm in and out of the gym in 1 hour, but you really do go the extra mile as far as just being helpful and being there. If you're not willing to put in the time, to put in the cost, to put in the money, everything else to kind of invest in yourself, then why are we here?
So yes, this isn't just some online fitness gimmick or some new fad diet. No, we use an actual scientific, data-driven approach to fat loss. All right, and I want to show you how it works. So when he did come to me, the first thing I did, like I said, I was like, yeah, his fat intake's too high, his protein intake's too high. So when we had talked about that we want to optimize the body for one certain sort of energy source, carbohydrate metabolism, fat adaptation, so we can optimize mitochondrial function. So what we did is we needed to lower the fat intake so to give the body more room to utilize carbohydrates. So yes, there's a cap on even protein intake, right? Because you don't need 250 grams of protein. I think that he was 174 pounds right here. He doesn't need that much protein. It's way too much protein, right? Yes, protein's good to have. It's good to have about 1 to 1.2 times your body weight in protein, but having carbohydrates in your diet supplements protein. It shuttles protein. It acts as a transportation mechanism to bring protein into the muscle at a faster rate. Okay, so there is a overconsumption aspect to protein where it becomes too much, right? And you can supplement carbohydrates in its place. Anyways, he came to me 2,300 calories, 270 protein, 80 grams of fat. And here's what I did. I started him at the exact same calories, right? 2250. 50 calories less, whatever. Same calories. All I did was lower his protein intake, lower his fat intake, and supplemented carbohydrates in his place. Because in this, he was eating about under 100 grams of carbohydrates because he's been falling to the old fitness industry scam that carbohydrates are detrimental to your health. And so, no, all we had to do, I just lowered his protein intake, lowered his fat, added some carbs. So these are macronutrients that are associated to him, though. To Mason, 174 pounds, 39 years old, university teacher, X amount of steps per day, X amount of, and this is like why it does matter. But I want you guys to see the progress of what happens when you dial macronutrients in, how predictive it can be, right? So as we did, like the first week, all right, it was incredible. First week, he just tightened up like tremendously, right? He lost, I believe, like 5 pounds within the first like 2 days. One, because we optimized digestion, yes, but we just optimize down to like energy production, like optimize protein, carbs, and fats for better digestion and just better energy exertion. And so as time goes on, I want you guys to see here in the top right here what I really do. I'm just like every week as he checks in, as long as his body composition is doing well, I'll just add 25, maybe a little bit 50 grams of carbohydrates, 50 grams of carbohydrates. So, and then we'll do watch body weight, because you can kind of hear what I'm thinking right here out loud. Watch body weight next week if the same plus 50. So we didn't move him right here, but we said, hey, let's give him another week. If your body weight stays the same, we'll give you some more, right? Because what are we doing? We are allowing carbohydrates to correctly absorb in his body and correctly transform into usable source of energy. Because it does take a small window of transitioning between each check-in to make sure the body is transitioning correctly. With metabolic priming, it does come down to a lot of tweaks that are made, decisions each week, macronutrients associated. Should we pull down fats? Should we raise fats? All these things, the decisions that we make. But when it works beautifully and we nail it, yeah, it's just 25 grams more carbohydrates, right? 25 grams more carbohydrates. And you can kind of see right here how much like his abs are just getting more blocky, right? Because that's what we want. We want to build muscle tissue. Look how much bigger his arms are getting, how much denser. He's got, lat veins, right? And this is all by eating more, right? And then he checked in right here, and this was probably the leanest he was. He was dry. He was lean. He had just nice, visible, protruding abs. And then he was up to 3,000 calories. All right, so he's up 900 calories. Let's pull these two together. I want you guys to see the difference right here, side by side, of a 900 calories more. How much more dense he is, how much more muscle tissue he has, how much more his body protrudes. And this is what it looks like perfectly. And this is why it comes down to the protein, carbs, and fats. And this is what people don't know. It's like people don't know that a lot of fat loss, a lot of health issues can be caused by just proper macronutrients, proper fluctuations each week of understanding this in general. But this is why I show you guys the importance of it, the importance of this is what it looks like, and the inside of like, this is why, we have predictable progress. When guys come to us, like we have insane amount of confidence. If they follow the plan, they will get results. We have client after client after client who we've worked with, who this has worked with. And we primarily work with men 30 to 65 years old. And even at their age, some of these guys that are coming to us are getting insanely shredded by just optimizing macronutrients. All right. So anyways, if you like this type of video, like, comment, and subscribe. If you're looking for more about our program in general, one-on-one coaching, macronutrient dieting, hormonal fluctuations, and actually repairing a lot of hormonal stuff and health-related stuff with proper macronutrient dieting, training programs, everything in between. Link will be down below. But like, you just stopping by for a little bit more information. Appreciate you. Hit the follow button. I do these videos Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the sole purpose of teaching you a little bit more about your body. But keep in mind, out of respect for my clients, 90% of what I keep on this channel, I don't put it. When it's in my program, I don't put in the channel. So keep that in mind. I keep 90% of the knowledge that we suffice our clients with off of this channel, which is, I feel like, more, more than respectable. But anyway, see you guys next time.